Oops.
Great.
This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here today with an old friend that I haven't seen for quite some time, Mr. Zach Kellum. How are you today, Zach?
I'm pretty good. I'm in Vancouver. I'm awaiting a flight back to Toronto. So it's
Okay, fantastic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I've known you for years and years and years, but today we're here to talk about this little can. So
Right.
and so, sorrel and soda. I'm having a little glass of it right now.
Oh, great,
And have
great.
been enjoying it over the last few days. Now, I knew you when you worked in a different area, but please tell me
hmm
the whole concept behind so and so.
So and so is sorrel and soda. So sorrel is something that I grew up drinking. My background is Trinidadian, which
Hmm.
I haven't really spent a huge amount of time talking about, particularly professionally. Um, so sorrel is made from hibiscus and aromatic spices. And it's something that as I said, I grew up drinking. It's a Christmas time beverage. You can taste those mulled spices in
Yes,
there. I started making it for my kids. I love how the house smells when I make it. Um, I found, however, what I grew up making, what I was used to drinking, what my mother made, it
hmm.
was just way too sweet. There was a huge amount of sugar in it, and I couldn't really like. I'd have a sip, but I couldn't get into it. Um, and when I say a lot of sugar, it was like not like add one more cup. It's like add another bag. It was thick with
Really?
sugar,
Right,
and that tends to be how it's served in the Caribbean.
right.
Um, and so I started making sorrel for my kids with probably a little less sugar and mixing it with soda. Over the course of the pandemic, Joanna, my wife, and I sort of slowed down on our alcohol consumption. But I was always longing for something that was interesting to drink, and I, was just crushing the flavored waters.
Hmm.
And but I wanted something more. I wanted something that was delicious, and that also didn't have too much sugar, so I could drink it with a little bit of abandon. And also, something that sort of tied me to my roots, to something I enjoyed doing. As I said, I really enjoyed brewing it. And so was born So&So. I was drinking it with soda. Um, my background is beverage marketing, and I saw an opportunity for, an interesting beverage. There's nothing quite like it on the market.
Yeah.
And while versions of this are consumed all around the world, and it goes by different names, Zobo, Sobolo, Bifap. There's no brand. There's no hibiscus brand in the world. I was partial to Sorrel. I love the cheekiness of calling it so and so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was called a so and so enough in my childhood that I figured I could
Sure. Yes.
I could take it back. Um, and so it sort of brought a smile to my face, and I just saw I could see to the finish line. I could see the opportunity. At least I could see to the opportunity, maybe not the finish line just yet.
Right.
And I suspected that people beyond, my close friends would enjoy it, and so was born So&So.
So when did it
Whoa.
become a commercial entity?
About a year ago, I started working with friends at Midtown Brewery
Oh, right.
in Prince Edward County. I was discussing the concept with them. They had the equipment and the sort of Spike at the brewery, who's the brewmaster. He had the technical background,
Gotcha.
the culinary skills, the scientific skills to ensure that we could brew this successfully and create something that was viable. Um, and so I went from basically a 3 liter pot on my stove top to 600 liters at the
Right.
brewery.
Scaling up there.
And Yeah, scaling up and continuing to scale up for sure.
Fantastic. Now, I have to ask you, there's the sorrel I definitely taste, but what are the underlying botanicals that you have in there?
So everything, so, just back to my Trinidadian heritage,
Yes.
I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of Angostura bitters.
Right.
And so one of my go-tos when I stopped drinking alcohol was bitters and soda. It was just simple, and although it has a little bit of alcohol in it as a suspension, it's
Yeah.
negligible, and I was just putting a few drops in. But I always loved the flavor of Angostura bitters. And further to that, I was lucky enough to go to the Angostura factory once and was overwhelmed by the wonderful aroma that came from there.
Hmm.
And so, in my research and development phase with So&So, I started going heavily into the ingredients there. And so it's pretty simple. It's cinnamon, it's cardamom, allspice, star anise,
Yeah.
it's spices beyond, and ginger, a tremendous
Yes.
amount of ginger, and a lot of citrus zest as well. That's a big component of what's going on there. But the floral flavor is almost singularly the hibiscus, but
Yes.
it um it works in concert so beautifully with some of those other flavors. The hibiscus itself is incredibly tart on its own, and sorrel, the word I've learned, is an old French word that means tart. Sorrel, Sourel. And there are plants all around the world that
Yeah.
go by the name of sorrel, and all they have in common is the fact that they're tart. Um,
Right. That makes sense, though. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, totally. So, yeah, the in terms of what's in there, it's really the flavors are coming from the spices and the flowers themselves.
Really quite delightful. It's funny. I'm very, very sensitive to sugar, so I don't really
Mhm.
have anything with sugar.
Well, it does bear mentioning that the sugar content is actually 13 grams per can. Even though it's listed as 17, we had our nutritional analysis done after we had printed our labels.
Right.
But yeah, the actual content is 12.6, or it's listed as 13 and 50 calories per can. So you can drink with a little abandon.
Right. I hear you.
Um,
But I
yeah.
have been enjoying it. I have to say, have you found any interesting applications for this with, say, using it as a mixer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It mixes wonderfully, like as though it, as though it's a symbiotic relationship. It
Okay.
works well with rum.
All right. Yeah.
It just, I mean, the spiced rums are all over the market, but rum with this, particularly Appleton's or a West Indian brand, a
Yes.
Caribbean
Yeah.
brand, they work beautifully with So&So. Gin is incredible too. It
Gin.
enhances the
Okay.
botanicals and doesn't really enhance the sweetness at all. It turns into a really lovely cocktail with gin. Um, yeah, yeah. Those are the two directions. It mixes well with pretty much anything, but those are my two favorites in terms of the flavors. Kind of whiskey is great. Like bourbons are amazing with it. But again, they tend to be quite sweet on their own too. Uh, the white spirits, like gin is great because it's got that botanical element for the most part, and vodka is fine, but I do prefer gin. It,
Excellent.
it,
And what's the
even
size of the production you have now?
well, we're still brewing out of the brewery right now, so we're doing up to 6,000 liters at a time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're canning today actually in Wellington, which is
Where
great.
does it go? Where is most of it distributed to?
Right now I'm selling it. I'm selling it through my website.
Okay.
So it's home delivery. We're available at a few restaurants. Miss Whipplemore's on King Street, Shadow Benny on Queen, and a handful of spots, a handful of boutique groceries, the Grumpy Gourmet on Bloor, Bevy's, a non-alcoholic bottle shop
Oh, yes. Yeah.
just outside of Kensington. So yeah, we're slowly starting to show up in shops. I've been working heavily at Witchwood Barns and doing
Yes.
markets
Yeah.
wherever I
Yeah.
can. Yeah,
Have you managed
yeah.
to get it into any bars at all? or
Um,
restaurants?
no, well, Miss Littlemore's
Yeah,
and Shadow Benny, but I haven't pushed hard on the licensee side.
yeah,
In Prince Edward County, it's showing up more and more
yeah.
at bars. The Royal Hotel in Picton,
Right.
um, Wander in Wellington. Um, we've been very lucky. We're showing up at some of the coolest spots.
Great, great,
We're
great.
pretty chuffed about that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
very pleasant product. I'm wondering where we can get it out here in the Beaver Valley because this would be
Ooh,
great for
yeah.
yeah, ask one of the local bars, Hart's Tavern, if they've tasted this because it's really
Oh,
very
great.
good. Enjoy this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I mean, we've just worked out our logistics with folks in Toronto, so we are able to deliver anywhere now,
Okay.
and so that's pretty great. Um, and it's it's totally doable before we sort of have a distribution network,
Yeah.
as as it were. But yeah, it's been right now. It's like when I get back to Toronto, I'm going to be schlepping around town delivering Christmas
Oh, yeah.
orders.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. But I
it's a
love it.
really nice drink. So I'm going to try and get a little bit of this for Christmas, I think.
Oh,
Um,
amazing.
yeah, we have some people coming over, and quite a few of them don't drink. And my wife
Amazing.
doesn't drink at all, so this is perfect for them.
Famously. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it
yeah.
has lots of flavors that remind me of my childhood. Kind of
Mhm.
those kind of you're talking about the cardamom. It reminds me of an old-fashioned sweet shop in the UK.
Mhm.
Like the old
Mhm.
hard candies and things. It's
Yeah, yeah, totally.
very
It's
nostalgic
interesting.
taste to me.
Yeah, totally. And even within the Caribbean community, Trinidad has a prominent Indian population, and
Yeah,
so those spices are very Indian, very typically Indian. You'll find the sorrel recipe varies from island to island. Um, Jamaicans really go heavy on the ginger, heavier
yeah,
than I would, but it's still lovely.
right.
Um, but yeah, you're right. It is. It reminds me of mulled cider, mulled
Yeah,
wine,
yeah,
that
yeah. I can
that
see
sort of
that
thing.
completely. It's got that kind of
Yeah,
very
yeah,
festive feeling to it.
totally, totally. And actually, mixing it with, I should have mentioned this earlier, mixing it with wine or with bubbles, a prosecco or a
Yeah, I
champagne
can see
is
that. Yeah.
lovely too. It makes a great spritzer.
Excellent. Well done on this, and thank you for letting me have a chat with you about it today. And hopefully
My
we'll see you
pleasure.
at some point and crack open a couple of these together.
Yay!
I may add something to it. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a Christmas drink.
Amazing. That would be great. Well, I can't
Yeah,
wait to get you guys some more for Christmas.
that would be lovely. Take care, Zach. Bye for now. Thank you.
Okay. See you, Jamie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.